Welcome back with another banger. It's the React Files. Hope you're having a good night. If you haven't already, please take a second
just to smash that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell,
just to make sure the algorithm knows what's up. So let's get straight to it.
Oh, baby! In case you haven't been paying attention, some of the biggest creators on TikTok are actually putting out paid political propaganda. And they're not telling you. But the thing about the new media is the new media does what the new media does. And we got people like Beauty Merc. Go drop him a follow to tell you the truth.
What does everybody see wrong with this picture? Well, I'll tell you what's wrong with it is the fact that Harry Sisson and Chris Mowry are in this photo. Now, first off, let's start with Harry Sisson's LinkedIn profile, right? Just so happens to be a content creator for Palette Management. Just so happen to look at all expenditures by the Democratic Party in 2022. You might just so happen to see who on that list with that amount of money right there. But wait, that's not all. Profiles on LinkedIn that are associated with Mr. Harry himself, right? With Chris Mowry being right there. Kind of weird how you can find their transaction history. Oh, kind of ironic how that amount just so happens to equal the same amount that I just showed everybody, right? With the disbursement date being none other than when? For $200,000, Harry. Sure, it's no coincidence, right? Harry wouldn't give us biased news. When that influencer meeting was called upon by Joe Biden himself, right? Mr. Harry Sisson just so happened to be at that meeting. But this is who I want the main attention on right here, right? I'm sure everybody knows who that is. Because shit like this is definitely not sketchy, right? She wouldn't be reporting biased news, would she? But what's really intriguing is she just so happens to be associated with none other than who? Sitting at that table looking real comfortable, aren't you? Aren't you? Looking real comfortable, aren't you? He wouldn't give anybody biased news, would he? You can never pay me enough to be at the White House without running my motherfucking mouth. And it doesn't matter what candidate is in office. Or let's talk about this, which they're pretty open about now, with supposedly a third of people ages 18 to 29 preferring to get their news from TikTok and other social media. So supposedly the what is working on new ways to get its message out to those audiences. And V from Under the Desk News, like I just showed you, saying that she was very excited to be at the People's House having lemonade, waiting for the president to speak. And then they fly how many followers that she had.
See, there's nothing wrong with a content creator putting out political content. There's nothing wrong with a content creator doing brand deals, taking sponsorships. But there's something wrong with a content creator combining those two things and not telling you. So if you see a content creator that's super successful out there, who's not doing a whole lot of financial disclosure, but seems to be making a lot of money and making a lot of content about brands or about politics, you should probably ask some questions. And again, shout out Beauty Merc. Go follow him. They try to paint people into conspiracy theory corners, but what they actually are is just people that do research and don't accept what they're told. And those are the exact kind of people that are going to figure out what they're not telling you. Nice try, government. Not today.
Shout out to Cancel This Clothing Company. Shout out to Beauty Marked. Yeah, some of them content creators I've even covered, but never did I guess. Like, wow. Yeah, I was shocked to see that one. It's like, whoa. You gotta be more careful. And like Cancer said, you gotta do more research. And that was an eye-opener right there. I wasn't expecting that.
Salam dulu buat semuanya.
Jangan dipapar ya.
Astagfirullahaladzim. Oh.
Apaan itu anjing? Astagfirullahaladzim, panas dada gua, Cok. Panas dada gua, Cok.
Ma! Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah, Ma! Ma! Ma!
No, like the prank went wrong on that one. Looked like something out of The Conjuring.
This is the real reason we stopped exploring the ocean.
This is why NASA stopped exploring the oceans.
Explain it to me, brother man.
NASA first began exploring the deep sea in 1958, but completely stopped in 2014 for some unknown reason. They then started putting all of their efforts towards space exploration and trying to get us off this planet. People obviously began wondering as to why they made the sudden change, but no one had any clue. Well, that was until just a few days ago when a head engineer at NASA was fired and he decided to speak out about this. The man stated that despite the popular belief that only 5% of our ocean is explored, NASA in reality had 68% of our ocean mapped out. But this is when they stumbled upon something unusual. They have found an enormous cave opening near a region of Hawaii, which they have never seen before. The cave eventually led them to a ravine that was completely submerged underwater, and it was nearly 50% deeper than the Mariana Trench. NASA then developed submarines that were capable of submerging that deep, and they made their way down. On their way down, they started seeing many strange creatures which exist nowhere else on Earth. Just 30 minutes later, this is when they saw yet another massive cave. When the submarine pointed its flashlights inside the cave, a massive eye was staring directly into their souls. It was the size of a house, as the scientists stated, and they were all horrified. They immediately went back to the surface in fear. The engineer also shared some photos of this encounter. If you want to see it, comment view image.
It sound like they looked dead in the eye of Godzilla or something. They probably found the Leviathan. Going into unknown depths could be dangerous and unpredictable. You never know what you'll find down there.
Could we possibly be experiencing the fall of the US dollar here soon? And are you prepared for oil prices to skyrocket through the motherfucking roof? Saudi Arabia announced it would sell more shares in its oil company Aramco, its state champion in the world's most valuable oil company, okay? Keep that in mind. The sale could raise up to $13.1 billion and is a culmination of a years-long plan to expand the company's pool of investors after it went public in 2019. Let's keep in mind before I go any further, okay? Saudi Aramco CEO was literally elected to be on the board of BlackRock. So I'll break it down and simplify it for you real quick so you'll understand. Let's do keep in mind, BlackRock already has a new Bitcoin ETF program that has accumulated billions of dollars of Bitcoin in just a couple months. So imagine how much they would accumulate in sales of shares from the oil industry. That's just one aspect of this entire video that I want people to be aware of before I go any further. But anyway, as you can see, Saudi Arabia and allied oil producing countries, do keep in mind that's the OPEC Plus alliance, which is made up of members of the producers cartel and allied countries including Russia, extended output cuts through next year. 3 different sets of cuts totaling 5.8 million barrels a day. And let's do keep in mind that just a couple weeks ago in Antarctica, Russia is claiming that they've discovered a location that they've been surveying that could provide up to 500 billion barrels of oil, which is 10 times the North Sea's output. So if Russia is the biggest opposition to the US, I'm sure it's obvious as to who would be in control, right? And at that point, Canadian oil is basically worthless, especially if Saudi Arabia would drop the US dollar. And then you put that together with our biggest marketing consumers supposedly going to war, I'm sure you could figure out on your own how much damage that would actually do to our economy as a whole. And if the US dollar falls, then it seems to be that a new age currency could come about, right? And if asset managers like BlackRock control the crypto industry, which one would presume would be a digital currency, right? Then it kind of makes you wonder who would be in control of that digital currency. Now let's do keep in mind, like this article says, right? OPEC says its member states' exports account for about 49% of global crude exports. And because of its large market share, the decisions OPEC makes can affect global oil prices. US gas prices rise along with crude because the price of oil makes up half the cost of a gallon of gasoline. The cuts that are being extended break down as follows, right? 2 billion barrels a day agreed amongst all 23 OPEC Plus members were extended through the end of 2025. How ironic. Then voluntary reductions of 1.65 million barrels a day by a smaller group of members was extended until end of 2025 as well. And another 2.2 million barrels a day in voluntary cuts due to expire at the end of this month were extended until just September. And they will be reduced month by month until they are eliminated by September 2025. And analysts are saying that the cuts could push oil prices higher in the coming months, but much depends on demand for oil going forward. But we're all trying to be energy sufficient, right? Are you starting to put 2 and 2 together now? And the banks on the deal ever since Thursday have been taking institutional orders and pricing the shares the following days. Do keep in mind, like it says here, the banks can increase the offering by a further roughly $1 billion. And if and when all the shares are sold, the Saudi government will be cutting its stake in the world's top oil exporter by 0.7%. That's pretty big. But the world's top investment banks are helping to manage the sale. Citibank, Goldman Sachs, HSBC, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley. I'm sure we all know who the top shareholder in those banks are, right? And people might be like, oh, well, we get most of our oil from Canada. But do you really think that's grade A oil?
Nah, it don't sound good at all. Shout outs to Canada. I'm sure they got grade A oil out there. Oil's oil, right? Billions of barrels a day. That's just a big number to fathom. It's like, whoa.
Did you guys hear about that 7,000-year-old artifact that they found under this building in Miami? And that's the reason why they took that building down, because they knew the artifact's been under there, y'all. They're talking about this artifact is older than the pyramids in Egypt, y'all. And we already know this is the real Egypt. Check this out.
First of all, had to remove a pre-existing structure. And it was well known in the archaeological community that beneath that building there was likely to be some kind of archaeological material. How much? We didn't know until that building was removed. It very quickly became clear that the depth and the horizontal extent and the significance of the archaeological site there was more. To put that in context, this site is older than the pyramids in Egypt. The site is older, or as old, as some of the very first cities ever built in Mesopotamia. And yet, very little is known.
Y'all heard what he said, right? They purposefully took that building down because they knew there was ancient artifacts in there, right? And how come we don't know nothing about it? What is that ancient artifact and what did they do with it? You know all our history has been a lie, right? They have all our ancient artifacts in museums, so we can't even go look at them and nothing like that. Just like they told us in the movie Black Panther. They have all our ancient artifacts. And even the fact that they never told us that this is the real Egypt, y'all, goes to show y'all they will never tell us the truth. Still to this day, they will never tell us the truth. But thank God for the age of Aquarius and TikTok, everything is coming to the surface, y'all, and we gonna bring everything to the surface. Let me know what you guys think about this video. This video is strictly for entertainment purposes only. I am only raising awareness to interesting situations during these interesting times. Like, comment, and share for more videos like this. Thank you for tuning to my frequency. Let's get this shift, y'all. Peace in.
Imagine they were artifacts from Atlantis, since it's so close to the Bahamas. The fact that they had to tear an existing structure down to get to it, was it something they needed, or was it just so valuable they had to get their hands on it?
I think that the Titans about to wake up, bro. So I seen this post that was talking about how they seen this crazy orange stain from space. Now, I'm not gonna hold you, yo. I think that this is the iron from the Titans, bro. It's been so many weird things happening, and I think the eclipse has something to do with all of this shit. What you think?
All right, Niz, so I read the article that you sent me about Alaska's waters turning orange, and look what I found out, bro. Did you notice that it is 75 streams that are tainted with this orange color, bro? 75 streams. Now, here's the thing that's going to make you think. They had a toxologist on site to test the waters. Why would they have a toxologist? Do you know what a toxologist do? A toxologist studies blood to identify and measure the presence of drugs, alcohol, poisons, and other toxic agents. Now, here's what they found in the streams, y'all. Between June and September of 2022, they found high concentrations of iron, toxic metals, including zinc, copper, nickel, and lead. Well, you do know our blood is mostly composed out of iron, right? And they found high concentrations of iron amongst these other metals, which our blood also contains. But iron is what our blood is mostly made out of. So back to the giants waking up, Niz.
What I'm thinking is, man, I feel like they always been here and the truth has always been in front of us. Peep this.
Sri Flesh Pit National Park, the gargantuan superorganism whose only known orifice is accessible via a now-defunct park in Gumption, Texas. At one time, visitors were allowed to enter the Flesh Pit, where they enjoyed attractions such as the amniotic thermal springs, the northern bronchial forest, and a complete backcountry trail system. But the pit itself is home to numerous other creatures that live within. One such creature is the iconic amorphous shame. They live their entire lives nestled into folds within the Flesh Pit. Fully adapted to this environment, they have no need of skin, bones, or even eyes. But
now, I feel like what's going on is what we're looking at a more massive scale, bro.
I mean, what other reason would they make movies and TV shows portraying giants? I mean, look at this, like giants looking like this, like they're showing muscles, like blood. And then have you ever come across this guy right here? This guy is literally laying there. Like, you ever heard of Himalayan salt? Because this guy is literally laying there. Check this out.
Not in flesh like me and you, so I think they were only stopped but not destroyed. And these pink salt mines and these flesh-looking stones are part of their bodies harvested from the earth. And for us to deny the similarities that this was once some living tissue, when pictures and video show layer by layer the truth.
Look at that. I mean, look at this. Can you tell the difference? Can you tell me which one is the meat and which one is the petrified rock? I truly do believe that giants roam the earth, and they have been telling us all along through these movies and television shows, and we are about to see these things again because history repeats itself, right? That's what they tell us. History repeats itself. So what do you think, Niz?
What I really think, bro, is these petrified giants been laying around for years and years, and some of them are still dormant. Some of them are truly passed away, but I do believe that some of them are still alive. And I believe that it's just a matter of time before the awakening really happens. Now look, I don't know if you ever seen the movie Troll on Netflix, right? I love to refer to this movie because this movie specifically was telling how like the Nephilim or trolls are like dormant and they're gonna wind up waking up. It's crazy. Also saying how they just look like regular mountain formations. But it's really laid down people, bro.
And then people laying down is literally Himalayan or Heralayan. But since this is a man's world, how dare they say Heralayan? So of course they're gonna call it Himalayan, right? Because the patriarchy. Now, Niz, speaking of giants, did you catch this? When I posted this, when the Aurora Borealis came out last month, did you see this? Doesn't this look like giants? You speaking of Troll, I've never seen that movie, but look at these huge giant beings. You can clearly see these are huge giants. I mean, look at them. There's 3 of them. Did you see this? I mean, for years we've been telling people something big is coming, and it looks like it's already here. Because you know we're in the 3rd dimension, and the veil between the 3rd and 4th dimension is getting thinner, y'all. And look at this, Niz. All I know is since the eclipse, the energy has been different. And we all feel it in the air. We literally feel it in the air. But if y'all like this video, keep up with me on my other accounts. This video is strictly for entertainment purposes only. I am only raising awareness to interesting situations during these interesting times.
You're right, bro. Things is not the same. Everything is different now. Shit is getting too wild. And we all need to wake up!
Shout outs to Conscious Juice and Nizzy. Yo, that Himalayan salt always gets me, man. You can't really tell the difference when you put it side by side with meat. The mystery flesh pit is what got me. Never heard of it. Definitely gotta look more into that.
Have y'all ever heard of Oscarville, Georgia? Well, what if I told you that Oscarville, Georgia is the most haunted location in all of America? Well, in the early 1900s, Oscarville was a thriving black town, very similar to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Well, just like Tulsa, there were some people from the other persuasion who didn't necessarily like that there were so many black folks doing so good. Oscarville, unfortunately, was located in one of the most infamous counties in all of Georgia. And if you black from Georgia, you know exactly what I mean when I say you stay the hell out of Forsyth County. So in 1912, Oscarville suffered from a series of racially motivated riots. So residents were threatened to either sell their land or die. Now, the history books will tell you that the people of Oscarville were bought out of their land and they left fairly. That's a fucking lie, bro. They wiped out the entire town, destroyed it. So I know you may be asking, well, what happened to Oscarville? Where'd it go? It's still there. It's just buried underneath a 38,000 acre man-made lake called Lake Lanier, aka the real Camp Crystal Lake. First of all, since 1994 alone, there have been 200 people who have died at Lake Lanier. Most of them drowned. I think that's crazy that that's not even scratching the surface. Because ever since the lake was open, there have been a total of 700 deaths, bruh. For some strange reason, people still keep going there. I don't know why. It's funny because as somebody from Georgia, we used to always say somebody should make a horror movie about Lake Lanier because clearly that shit's haunted. Just when you thought it would never happen, here comes Lanier, an independent film telling the real truth about Oscarville, Georgia and what happened there. See, in the movie, a detective heads to the lake for a family getaway until he gets a call about a mysterious drowning. As he's learning about the history of the lake, he's real skeptical. He ain't really believing it. What's done in the dark always come to the light, and he eventually found out the truth. This movie is definitely important to the culture of Georgia, and it's important to the history of black people in this country. Y'all know Black Wall Street in Tulsa was bad. That was a terrible thing that happened. But at least people know about it. Oscarville, Georgia, no one knows. The history was buried, just like the city was, underneath a damn lake. Ask any of your friends from Georgia, they'll tell you, we don't fuck around with Lake Lanier, bro. Next time somebody brings up this lake, just remember who told you the real history about it.
Shout outs to Georgia. Yeah, I've never heard of this Lake Lanier. And it sounds like a real life Camp Crystal Lake. But yo, whole town being buried underwater? 38,000 acres? Bro. Ain't no way. Yeah, I would never visit that lake.
If you haven't heard or read, Lake Lanier claimed another life this past week. And when I tell you the story of how this happened, you're gonna be like, so just buckle up for a minute, okay? 73-year-old man is fishing with his wife on their fishing boat. Now, if you've never seen a fishing boat before, they have these flat upper deck areas with swivel chairs just bolted to the deck, okay? He goes to sit in his chair. The bolts loosen, which caused him to fall into the water, and he never resurfaced. Okay, now there are several personal accounts from people who have been swimming in Lake Lanier, felt something grab them and pull them under. This happens all the time. So many people have had this happen to them. If you don't know the whole story behind Lake Lanier and you are curious, let me know and I'll tell the story, but I'm going to do it in its own video because that story deserves its own video and its own time, okay? It even says here, since 1994, more than 200 people in Lake Lanier have lost their lives. At this point, I don't even know if I'm going to just keep telling people to stop going to Lake Lanier because you're going to do what you want to do and you're going to do what you feel is okay for you to do. But maybe look into the history of Lake Lanier before you go. They even opened a water slide this year. A water coaster. Whatever the fuck that means. And they named it, hold on, Apocalypso. Which, again, if you know the story behind Lake Lanier, you'll know that is an absolute garbage name. And whoever named it that, you're diabolical. Just want you to know. So, just look up the history of Lake Lanier before you decide to go. And if you know the history of Lake Lanier and you still decide to go, all hope is lost for you.
Our condolences to that 73-year-old man. Yeah, people talking about feeling something pull them under the water definitely sounds supernatural.
friends shared a final hug in their last moments, seconds before being swept away in Italy flash floods. Patrizia Cormos, her friend Bianca Doros, and Bianca's boyfriend Christian Molnar were last seen on a walk along the Natasone River. The water rapidly rose to dangerous levels, leaving the trio stranded, clutching each other to stop being swept away. Firefighters who found the friends standing thigh-deep in the churning river told them to stay together and hug each other. But after throwing them a rope, rescuers saw them disappear as they were swallowed up by the floodwaters.
Now that's heartbreaking for real. It's crazy how Mother Nature could just turn the tide and turn things into a bad day. So sad. May their souls rest in peace.
2 bodies have been found after the flash floods in Italy. They are believed to be the bodies of the friends seen hugging each other before they were tragically swept away. Officials believe they've found Patrizia Cormos and Bianca Doros, 1 kilometer from the spot they were last seen in, but the search for the third friend, Christian Molnar, is still ongoing. Emergency services have vowed to not stop until they find the third missing person. 2 of the 3 friends hugging in the Italian floods have been identified as Romanian couple 23-year-old Bianca Doros and her boyfriend Christian Molnar, age 25. It's reported Bianca was visiting family when the tragedy unfolded as they took a walk along a river before becoming stranded in the flood. 2 bodies, believed to be those of Miss Doros and her friend 20-year-old Patrizia Cormos, were recovered 1 kilometer away from the spot they were filmed. The search is still continuing for Mr. Molnar, with the fire service vowing we won't stop until we find the third missing person.
Yeah, it looked like it became a raging river. Looking at it from that glimpse shows, yo, that was a big passageway. Makes me wonder, man. All we can do at this point is offer our deepest sympathy.
Did this rocket just prove that space is fake? We have lift off. Okay, it's going. I paid very close attention to when this rocket breaks out of the bubble. Here we go, watch this. Try to do something really weird. Pay attention. What is that? If anyone can explain what this is, please let me know. Thanks for watching and stay weird.
So yeah, things might be about to get really, really crazy. It's being reported that Ukraine is shooting NATO missiles inside of Russia after allegedly being given the go-ahead by Biden. And this is being reported all over the place. But let me show you the crazy, scary part. Russia's foreign minister is saying that this may have nuclear consequences. Also, one of Putin's residencies went up in fire here a few days ago. They're poking the bear. But let me show you what JFK Jr. said about a study that was done that would happen if this did happen.
The Pentagon did a study about what would happen if we had a nuclear exchange with the Russians. Within the first 20 minutes of the war, 90 million Americans would be. Within the next 6 months, another 90 million would die.
So if it was hard for you to hear him, he said the Pentagon did a study that in the first, I think, 20 minutes, 90 million people would pass away. 6 months later, another 90 million. Now, the reason I'm showing you the 2025 pole shift map is because there is a data analyst site called Deagle or Daigle that was really important and a lot of government agencies used. And this same analytical website randomly, for no reason at all, said in 2025 the US was going to lose 1/3 of their population by 2025, the same date for this map. Very interesting coincidence. At the same time, we have our last president about to step into action. And don't forget about the Russian 2024 calendar showing their troops at our capital. Okay, yes, a lot of coincidences. And just so y'all know, when I say something scary, I just mean it's scary, not that it's scary to me. So yeah, this is gonna go probably exactly how we think it's gonna go. Is it just me, or is time moving a lot faster lately? I mean, in every single way. With the weather, you know, with the heat, with the geopolitical conflicts. With birds, when they start tweeting at 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. Things are very weird right now, and it's drastically getting weirder the farther we get away from April 8th of the eclipse. You know, when the birds are tweeting at like 1 and 2 a.m., it makes me think it's actually supposed to be getting light outside.
Hey, yo, Nizzy. I think these people have been telling us about the Leviathan this whole time. Have you seen this documentary, Watch the Water? Look at the insignia for Watch the Water. Look, wouldn't that be a giant snake coming up the pole, right? And we know where the snake is. We've already determined that this is the giant snakehead in Antarctica, which is also known as the South Pole. So why is this insignia a giant snake or Leviathan climbing up the pole, like the South Pole? What do you think of this, Nizzy? Look at this.
I think you're right, bro. Now, you know what the crazy part is? I seen that the Watch the Waters 2 is coming out. I didn't even see the first one, but I seen this trailer, and I peeped in the number 2. You see the dragon scales or the reptilian scales, bro? And the fact that the title, Watch the Waters, the fact that there's been so much going on lately with the waters, I know it's something in there. And I believe that both movies are just giving hidden subliminals towards the Leviathan, bro.
I truly believe they were telling us about the Leviathan in a coded message because they're talking about snake venom. Check this part out. Listen to this.
It also can read crown. Corona means crown also in Latin terms. Corona means crown. Visually, we see kings represented with a crown symbol. Right. So put that together for me. King Cobra Venom. It actually could read King Cobra Venom Pandemic.
Now I ask you this, wouldn't you think that the Leviathan would be the king of all cobras since it is the biggest of all cobras? And just to cap it off, they were talking about snake venom being in the water. So why does Leviathan and snake venom give us the same numerics and gematria? Look, we have 11 in this English ordinal and 38 in full reduction. Nizzy, they have been telling us this whole time, bro.
Wake up! Wake up!
Shout outs to Conscious Juice. Shout outs to Nizzy. Never heard of this documentary, Watch the Water, and they're coming out with a sequel. Been hearing a lot about this Leviathan lately. I can't front. I was watching Godzilla over the weekend and thinking a lot about it too myself. Like, imagine.
You know what they did to Red Lobster? Yeah, they're coming for all the restaurants. And by them, I mean private equity, all the billionaires. And they're about to finish off the whole sub sandwich industry. All of it. Quiznos went first. Deadly. A lot of you guys are probably too young to even know. Quiznos basically invented the toasted sub, but they gone. Subway was family owned for more than 5 decades. Gone. Porta Subs, gone. And now they're coming for Jersey Mike's. No one other than Blackstone. Trying to pay $8 billion for it. But this is a thing called vulture capitalism, not venture capitalism. What they do is they take over the business, then they sell off all the real estate to their buddies. Then they force the businesses, all the franchise owners, the regular people trying to open small businesses, they force them to pay rent on their own properties that they used to own. Then they do all sorts of weird deals where they got to like rent their equipment and pay all sorts of extra fees. Basically, they turn all the franchise owners into cash cows that they can extract maximum money out of. That makes all the franchises not profitable, just the big rich motherfuckers at the top. And once the whole industry is owned by the same friends, they don't need any competition. They don't need you to eat good subs. They start giving you less meat. Pretty soon we're all eating bugs. But they haven't finished yet. Jersey Mike's ain't dead yet. And Jersey Mike's is fucking delicious. I almost feel like we should do something about it. If only there was something that we could do about it.
Shout out to Cancel This Clothing. He be putting us on game. And it's sad what happened to Red Lobster. That used to be the joint since I was a kid. You know? I think that all-you-can-eat shrimp put them under. But I think Cancel This Clothing is making a great point.
あいつが近くにいたらこの人危なくない？いや、 でもそれどころじゃないじゃん。もう警察呼んでもらおう。ちょっとこっち来てください。来てください。ちょっと、この人病気なんです。この人病気です。来てください。ちょっとだけ来てください。すいません。
警察呼んで。
カバン取ってもらえますか？カバンが落ちてるんです。そこに車の鍵もあるし、スマホもあるんで。スマホもありますから、それで取ってもらう。
バカ黙れ！おい！
何？
警察呼んでください。
警察呼んでください。
変な人がいるんです。変な人がいるから、警察呼んで。待って、行かないで。
ちょっと行かないでください。ちょっと待って。ちょっとなんで行こうとすんの？ちょっと。何？どこ行くの？
バカ、お前が怖いんだよ！この野郎！バカ！
ごめん。
Yeah, she jumped into action. She probably helped scare the bear away. The dog Zeus did make it home. Hell, the crazy things we'll do for our pets, right?
Bateram, já foi. Já, merda.
Não. Ai, não.
And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed tonight's rabbit hole. If you haven't already, please take a second
just to smash that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell,
just to make sure the algorithm knows what's up. So what we gonna do, y'all? That's right, run these numbers up. Thanks again. Until next time.